Hello and welcome to Sticky from the Inside, the employee engagement podcast that looks at how to build stickier, competition-smashing, consistently successful organisations from the inside out. I'm your host, Andy Gorham, and I'm on a mission to help more businesses turn the lights on behind the eyes of their employees, light the fires within them, and create tons more success for everyone. This podcast is for all those who believe that's something worth going after and would like a little help and guidance in achieving that. Each episode, we dive into the topics that can help create what I call stickier businesses. The sort of businesses where people thrive and love to work, and where more customers stay with you and recommend you to others because they love what you do and why you do it. So, if you want to take the tricky out of being sticky, listen on. Okay then, let's be honest. Work can sometimes feel like a never-ending to-do list, a series of meetings that could have been emails, and a place where fun is often an afterthought. But what, my friends, if it didn't have to be that way? What if happiness at work wasn't just a perk, but something we could actively create for ourselves? Now, that's exactly what we're diving into today. My guest is Joel Zeff, a high-energy speaker, improvisation expert, and author of the fabulous book, Make the Right Choice. Lead with passion, elevate your team, and unleash the fun at work. Joel is all about celebrating those small wins, or frankly, what he calls, and this is brilliant, ta-da moments, and using these as fuel for workplace happiness and success. Because here's the thing. Happiness at work doesn't just happen to us. It's something we can shape, influence, and yes, maybe even take control of. It starts with the way that we show up, how we choose to embrace change, the support we give and receive from those around us, and the moments, big and small, that we take the time to celebrate. And when we start seeing happiness as an active choice rather than luck, I think everything shifts. Now, Joel knows this better than most. His background in the art of improv has given him a unique perspective on why flexibility, presence, and saying yes to the moment are essential, not just on stage, but in our daily working lives. So if you've ever felt like you're just going through the motions at work, maybe this conversation just might help you flip the script. So if you're ready to rethink what happiness at work really means, and how to make it something you own rather than wait for, then maybe stick with us, because I think this is going to be a fun one. Joel, welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you. That was the best introduction I have ever received in my career. I'm going to edit that, and I'm just going to send that to prospective clients. You want to know about me? Just listen to Andy. If you can't sell me, I don't know who's going to sell me. The best introduction I've ever received.
Well, that's so sweet of you. I appreciate that. This is a conversation I have really been looking forward to, not just because of geeking out about improv, but really, really, really getting into this, I think, so much overlooked topic of happiness, which I think can be completely misunderstood as something all fluffy and lovely. This is about really setting people up for success at work and recognizing success, something I think that we are awful. Certainly in the UK, we are awful at recognizing success. But before I get all hot under the collar and start getting into the conversation, you say I've just sold you lovely and given you a super introduction. But tell us a little bit more about your background and how you've landed up talking about, very successfully I might add, talking about this topic and wowing audiences all over the globe.
Well, I started as a newspaper reporter. I was a journalist. That's my degree. And I love telling people stories. And that gravitated, kind of worked into, I found myself in advertising and PR, worked for a couple agencies. Now, when I was a journalist, the last day I lost my job, the newspaper closed. So I had a lot of free time all of a sudden. And I started doing comedy, started doing stand-up comedy and improv comedy. And it was like the movies, you know, where the protagonist goes somewhere and there's a light and the music goes, oh, that's what it was when someone took me to my first improv show. It was love at first sight. There was an energy. I didn't know how I was going to do this or what's going to happen, but I knew that I needed improv. And so I took a couple workshops. Obviously, I was unemployed at the moment, so had plenty of free time. And so I had a severance check and free time. And that says comedy more than anything. That
Mm-mm.
says go do stand-up, go try out improv. And so when I was working at a PR agency, because I needed a job and, because I like to eat and pay rent, as most of us do.
It's a
And
habit. Yeah.
it is. It gets into a habit of eating, and it's hard to break. And so one of my clients was a technology company, and they said, we know you do improv on the weekends.
Mm.
We're having this executive retreat. Can you come up, play some of those improv games with us before dinner? That'd be a lot of fun. And I said, sure. Why not? I got time. And I took another performer with me. And, it was all men, all VP level, all from a technology company. So not the greatest audience you could put together in one room to start a career. But somehow magic happened. I had fun, they had fun, and the light bulb started flickering. And that was the beginning. And I didn't know that that was going to be my career. I didn't know that I was going to become a keynote speaker. I didn't even know there were speakers. I didn't even know that was an
Yeah.
option. I just love doing it. And just like anything, you put some energy towards something, you put your passion toward it. All of a sudden, the phone starts ringing. People start knocking on the door, asking you, hey, can you do some of that with us or with our group?
Mm.
And it wasn't about money. It wasn't about, I need to be paid a certain amount. It was just my love of sharing improv. And it just one thing led to another. And next thing you know, 2,500 events later, I'm talking to you, Andy,
I
on your
mean,
podcast. It
that's
took
amazing.
2,500 events to get to.
And I am grateful for every single one of those events that brought us here, because you just talk about energy. You have a really magnetic energy about you. I mean, even from our very first conversation, I had to go and have a bit of a sit down and just, I don't want to sound weird, but I was so buzzed and hyped from our conversation about what our conversation was going to be like.
Oh, that's very nice.
But I don't know how to describe that, because not everybody has that, do they? I mean, but you can find it within yourself. Some people, it's far more natural. Some people, you have to kind of dial those things up. When you're thinking about improv with that panel of, frankly, the least likely people to enjoy an improv situation, I
Well,
imagine I imagine personality came out of all those guys, though, right?
for sure, for sure. Everybody wants to play.
Mm.
Everybody wants to have fun. Sometimes we forget, and sometimes we don't give ourselves permission to play and have fun. And so I kind of see myself as a leader, the Pied Piper, a guiding light to kind of unlock that option to play, that option to have fun. And when I go speak at a conference and we play some improv games and I share my love of improv and I'm passionate about it, so I'm energized about it, and I'm having a great time. I'm having fun. It's rewarding and fulfilling. I tell people all the time, when you hire me to come speak at your conference, to step on that stage, I'm not charging you to be on stage. That's free. I love this.
Mm.
What I'm charging is to be away from my family, to travel, to sit by the guy on the airplane that's, chewing his nails and watching a movie with no headphones and
Nice.
taking his socks off. We
Oh,
all know that guy,
John Candy.
right?
Mm-mm.
All know that guy. And that's what I'm charging for. And to be on stage is my love. It's my passion. And so when we play these improv games and we unlock that and people have fun and most of the time I'm speaking at conferences and they've maybe had a tough time. Maybe there was a merger, a layoff, a situation. It's been a tough year, the economy. But to create some energy, to have fun, and then people realize that this is fulfilling. It energizes them. And that passion leads to success. It leads to great customer service, sales, marketing, whatever you do, you're going to be better when you're fulfilled and you're rewarded.
Well, I guess at that point, you're able to be this is an overused phrase, but your most authentic self. You can be really present in it, and you can relax that the fact that you're going to bring a really good energy about it, and
Yeah.
bring that with you, and that's going to be imparted on the people that you're with.
Well, you're absolutely right. When you play, you're your true self, right? When, get your friends together, play a board game, you'll figure out who the micromanager of the group is really quickly, right? Because that person's going to go through the rules and make sure everybody's following the rules. You're going to figure out who the person that's just going to bring joy and they're going to have fun. You're going to figure out who the person is that's, gets frustrated very easily and just has a negative energy about them. When we play, we're our true selves. And improv was created by a woman named Viola Spolin. And she created improv at NYU in the late 30s, early 40s as a teaching tool because that's what she believed. If you play a game, her students are going to be their true, authentic selves. And they're going to take some of these pressures away, some of these frustrations, some of these fears away. And it's going to be easier to engage with what she's teaching. And they're going to retain that message. And it's the same concept. I'm using the same concept. I'm playing a game. I want people to laugh, but I'm using that game as a visual storyboard to talk about these messages about great leadership, great teamwork, how we have to embrace change and find success during change.
And I really want to dig into those things and your perspective on that. But before I do, I think this thing about play is really interesting because I'm going to use a generalized statement, which may be incorrect, but many adults we don't let ourselves play. We feel almost embarrassed or awkward about playing. You can see it sometimes even when a parent is with their little kids playing, they're almost looking over their shoulder and say, should I be doing this? You must come across the kind of the release or the failure to release the ability to play in people all the time.
Absolutely. And one of my absolute favorite things that happen after I speak is someone comes up to me and says, Bob, that was on stage, and Bob, maybe Bob was a ballerina or he imitated a bull rider. And someone said, Bob is the most introverted person in our office. And I'm always surprised by what people do on stage. And it's really invigorating to see people light up. And because what I'm doing is I'm giving them opportunity to be creative, to play, to have fun, but also the opportunity to be accountable, to take ownership, to be a great leader, to be a great teammate. And then what's happening is the audience is creating positive support. They're applauding, they're laughing. And when you put those two things together, it's pretty amazing what people can accomplish. And you could see it in their body language. As soon as they get a laugh, as soon as the audience applaud, and maybe sometimes I'm going to start that applause, or maybe I'm going to give them some positive support just to get them in the flow of the game. And their shoulders rear back, their eyes kind of lighten up, and they do more. They take more risks. They're more creative. What happens? More positive support, more laughter, more applause. What do? They do even more. It's an amazing chemistry. And that's what every person wants out of their jobs. Whether we know it or not, we want opportunity and positive support. Unfortunately, those are the two things we don't receive enough of. And so we have to fight for it. We have to demand it. We have to make sure that we receive opportunity and positive support. And if we're a leader, we need to make sure that we give our team opportunity and positive support, because that's where the magic happens.
Yeah. And I think we'll dig into that a bit later, because I think everybody needs a cheerleader. I mean, you might not think you want to go out and buy one today, but life without one is pretty sad. I mean, it feels great when someone's a cheerleader for you, and that just encourages you to go and do some more great things, right?
And if you're not receiving a round of applause, then you just have to give it to yourself. I tell people all the time, I'm like, look, I have a job where I get a round of applause. It's pretty awesome. I do my job, I get applause. That's pretty cool. I don't even have to be that good. Like, I can have a bad day. I can have a bad day and people still,
oh, he's amazing.
I still get applause. They might say, he was okay, but they're still applauding. Most people have a job, they don't get that round of applause when they're they're in IT, they're accounting, they're in HR, they're in marketing, they're in sales. No one's giving them applause. They deserve it. Absolutely, they deserve it. And so if someone's not giving you that round of applause, then you have to give it to yourself. As soon as you just show up for work, you just People will look at you strange, and you just go, woo!
People looked at me strange throughout my career,
Yeah.
Joel. I'm not sure it's anything to do with me
Yeah.
capping myself, but that whole piece about celebration, because I really want to have a look at the whole ta-da factor with you
Yeah.
today. But even the notion for some people listening to this of giving yourself a big up or celebrating yourself, or like you just sort of said, just giving yourself a little clap feels alien or feels out of place or feels wrong
Right.
to some people. You encounter that a lot with the people that you talk to?
I think, you mentioned the ta-da, and
Yeah.
what that is from. I don't know, maybe in the UK, do we say ta-da?
Of course we do. Yeah.
Okay, great. Fantastic. So the magician, I was I was in London in November. I did not hear a ta-da. So, uh, so, the ta-da is a celebration. It's a
Yeah.
flourish. When our kids were younger, everything was a ta-da. We celebrated everything. They clean up after themselves. They walk. They don't spill. They eat their whole sandwich. Ta-da! You did it, right? And what happens? They build confidence. We give them positive support. They get a big smile on their face. Whatever we're celebrating, they do more of.
Yeah.
And so as we get older, as you mentioned, it becomes more foreign, more alien.
Mm.
This is just part of our day. Why do we need to celebrate?
Mm.
But that celebration is energy. It creates a passion. It creates fuel. And if we don't have that fuel, then, how do we reach our goals? How do we find success? How are we a great innovator, a great communicator, a great leader? And so we need that fuel, that positive support, that celebration. And when at the beginning of my keynote, I had the whole group stand up. We do ta-da, and absolutely, there's going to be some people in the back that half-ass it.
Yeah.
Can I say half-ass on the
You
podcast?
can.
Okay.
You carry on, my friend.
I think I just did. So, and they kind of, and we do it again. They look around. They realize everybody else in the room is doing it, and that creates a support mechanism because we're doing it together.
Mm-hmm.
And they realize, hey, that's pretty cool, right? And we have to celebrate. We do great things every day with our customers, with our team, with our partners. And that celebration is very important because it fuels that passion. It fuels that happiness. And that's what we're after, to be fulfilled and rewarded at work. And even at your very first job, you might not be in the job that you see yourself at in 10 years, or that this is your career goal. I remember one of my first jobs was at a movie theater. Have you ever worked at a movie theater, Andy?
Well, my granddad, God rest his soul, used to run a very big cinema in London. So as a little kid, I used to get to run around behind the scenes in a cinema, go in the projection room and everything. Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So, well, it's not so amazing when you work there and you have to pick up people's trash.
Yeah,
Andy.
there is that. Okay.
Or you have to clean the popcorn machine or the hot dog machine, which is gross. But that was my first job. So I'm basically picking up people's trash as my first job. And that really taught me that you better have fun at work no matter what your job is, or it's going to be a dreary, tough time. And so the people that I worked with, we found ways to have fun, to energize each other, even though we picked up people's trash or were polishing brass railing for days on end. It's finding and choosing how you work, right? Choosing that happiness, finding that happiness. And that was a very important lesson. And I kept that with me everywhere that I went. And also, the other thing I learned is that I do not leave my trash behind. If I go to a sporting event, a movie theater, I do not put my trash under the chair and forget about it. I carry out my trash, and I make sure my children carry out their trash, because once you pick up people's trash, you do not leave trash.
You understand. You have real empathy for that. I get it.
Rubbish. We call it rubbish in the UK, right?
We do call it rubbish. Well done. I
Rubbish.
mean, I think we're really crossing the cultural divide here with the language that we're using today.
I'm doing good, huh?
I think you're doing superb, my friend. Superb.
Last night I watched All Creatures Great and Small just to prepare for this interview.
Well, thank you very much. And I think all the people in Yorkshire really appreciate that. And if we can talk about anything with cows and very long gloves, we will, I'm sure, at some time.
My wife and I love that show. We're huge fans.
I never ever underestimate the differences in language. I had, in fact, the episode before this, with Peggy Sullivan. She corpsed in a pre-chat when I said, "Oh yeah, we're going to smash this episode." She was like, "This is not something we use in the States. Can you explain to me what this means?" And she was tickled by that. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think all of the language stuff is funny. It's just grounds for fun ultimately,
Yeah.
unless of course I say the
I
wrong
think you
thing
have
and
better
offend
words
someone.
I think you have better words for a lot of things. I think rubbish is a much better word than
It's
trash.
just a great sounding word as
Yeah.
well. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's
Lift is a way better word than elevator.
I mean, it's easy as a spell um,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
lots and lots
Yeah.
of
There's
people.
lots. Yeah.
I think this is where we're playing around and having fun has to link back to this world of work that we're in, right?
Hmm.
Just even like we're just mucking about, talking rubbish about language. It's just having a bit of a giggle. It's having a bit of fun. We're still gonna get to the heart of the matter here of
Right.
this celebration thing, this having fun. I think it's so sad that more people don't have it. And look, I've experienced incredibly fun times at work, and I've experienced horrible times at work.
Right.
I think what's fascinating about your take on the whole thing is how much agency people have in that, rather than victims and reacting to it. Actually, there's a whole piece in here about actually going after it and seizing it and making something yourself. You want just sort of like explain to us why you're so steadfast in your belief that that is the case.
I think you have control.
Mm.
And I think we control how we react to change. That's what improv teaches us, to embrace change and that you have control how you react to change. So for those listening, improv is an art form. There's no script, there's no rehearsal, there's no plan. And so to be successful, some choices have to be made. I have no control over my teammate, the other performer, what words that they are saying, what actions they are doing. I have no control over that. But I do have control how I react to it.
Mhm, mhm.
And if you really watch improv, the real power sometimes is how you react. That's where the comedy, the humor, the true power is, and how you react to change. So I don't control change, but I do control how I react to that change. I had an interview yesterday. We were talking about return to the office. There's obviously a big movement.
Yeah.
A lot of industries and companies are bringing their employees back to the office. And we really focused on embracing this change. I don't control that I have to return to the office, but I control how I react to it.
Yeah.
So I can be positive and supportive and helpful. I can be open and flexible. Maybe I discover that this is a better fit for me. I'm
Mm.
around people. We can go to lunch. I
Yeah.
can go, there's a group of people we can go to lunch. We can go and have coffee together. Maybe I realize that being around people creates an energy, creates an excitement, helps me be more innovative, a better communicator, better at my job. I don't know. And you might discover, you know what? This isn't a fit for me. I prefer to work at home. And then you need to go make that choice and go find a job, a company, an industry that does allow you to work from home because there are those options. You have to embrace that change and you have to be in control of that change. And when that happens, when you're prepared for change, when you embrace change, when you're open and flexible, you have more power. Change isn't so scary. It's not going to frustrate you. It's going to empower you. And that's really what improv teaches us. The other thing you mentioned about fun and realizing that you're not having fun at work.
Mm.
We make choices. And in the beginning of our lives when we're kids, mine are I have an 18-year-old and a 22-year-old.
Oh, it's very similar
Almost
to me.
every almost every choice they make is based on, is this fun? Right? When you're 18, early 20s, almost every choice in your life is based on, is this fun?
Mm.
And as we get older, we start making choices that aren't based on fun. They're based on career, finances, family. We make decisions, small decisions, but they start adding up. And then we realize we're at a job that we're not passionate about. We're doing work that we're not excited about because we made all these little decisions that were not based on fun. And we realize we're not having fun.
Mm.
And so I think part of embracing that change and having that power is that we need to make decisions that are based on fun. And, we were talking about all the work about, doing a podcast, right?
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. And people ask me all the time, why don't you have a podcast? I said, because that doesn't sound like fun to me. That's really, if you want to know why I don't do things, then not fun. I try to base as many decisions on my work as I can. Is this based on fun? Am I going to have fun? Am I going to enjoy the process? Sometimes a client might not have the budget. I don't say no. I have taken many jobs based on this is going to be fun.
Mm.
I'm working with a good friend who we met at a conference, and he's putting together a charity event. I'm not being paid, but I want to spend time with my friend. I want to go play golf, and so I'm making that choice because it's fun.
Yeah.
Not because of finances, or I might lose money because somebody else will want to hire me that day and I'm going to have to turn it down. I'm making that decision based on fun.
I think this is really, really interesting. There's two things I want to sort of just pick up on here. I think just coming back to the improv stuff, I think what's wonderful about how you've just sort of phrased that, and I think it's obvious when you see it in retrospect, but maybe not if you've never done it. But the changes that are happening in an improv sketch are seen as an opportunity to go somewhere else and have some fun and do something different, or exaggerate it or continue it. Every bit of change is an opportunity if you see it that way, as opposed to, oh my God, what am I going to do now? Which I'm sure there is a fleeting moment of that, but it's an opportunity, right?
It is absolutely an opportunity. It's embracing that change and not being afraid of it. You may make a mistake.
Yeah.
It's also eliminating some of the fears of making a mistake, of saying something that's not funny, or saying something that's wrong. So we're eliminating some of that, and that gives us a freedom, right? And that freedom to have fun and play hopefully will create success.
Mm.
And I think that's what, when I talk about innovation to the groups, when I speak to them, I really talk about that freedom, because we're afraid. People, so many times, I'm sure you've heard that people are afraid of public speaking.
Oh yeah.
They're not. What they're really afraid of is they're afraid of making a mistake, or forgetting to say something, or stumbling over their words. I do all of that all the time. And I'm a professional. You have to be, you can't be afraid of that. And you have to embrace that you will make mistakes. And when you do that, that freedom creates something really awesome. And that you match it with opportunity, you match it with positive support, and that freedom will lead to a lot of success.
I believe that too. I also think, because I think that's fascinating, because I love standing up, right? I love facilitating a room. I really, really enjoy that stuff. And occasionally people want to know about tips for public speaking. And I feel a bit of a fraud saying that sort of stuff, because I think you've got to enjoy it. You've got to be present. But I also think, I love the list of things that you say people are worried about when it comes to public speaking. I also think there's a little bit of people not wanting to do the work to practice, to get themselves in a situation where they don't have to think about the words. They know that they're all good, and they can engage the audience as opposed to trying to remember the words. And that takes a bit of work. And sometimes it is, well, I should just be able to pitch up and have a quick look at a script and say it, or I should just naturally know what to say. People work very, 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 very hard on appearing to be spontaneous when it comes to things like comedy and what have you.
What happens is you put so much time into it. And again, it's building that confidence. And that's what I really want leaders to understand, that, or people that listen to a podcast like this, is that you're building confidence.
Mm.
And when you build that confidence, that's really what really leads to success. Because I put all that time in, and then I've released my fears. I've released, that I'm going to forget something, or I'm going to make a mistake or stumble on my words. And then I'm okay with it because I've put so much time into it. And so that time, what we need to do, and what I like to encourage people when we're talking about building that confidence, is what it means to our success as leaders, as teammates. And I think if you want to have great teamwork and great leadership and build that confidence, it's asking a question. How do I help the people around me be successful? Right? If you watch an improv game, and that's the other thing that's happening. Yes, we're confident. Yes, we're embracing change, but we're also thinking about every performer on stage with me. I want them to be successful. It's not about me being a star, not about me being the best or the funniest. It's about what can I do to make sure that they are successful. So I'm asking a question. How do I help the people around me be successful? Answer the question. More importantly, acting on it. I'm giving them something so that they can build on, so they can move forward. That's when real magic happens in an improv game. And we take that to our work about having fun, about creating great teams and being great leaders. We could just absolutely just distill everything down to that question. How do I help people around me be successful? That's an easy question. You know the answer. You know what your customers need. You know what your team needs. You know what everybody around you needs to be successful. The hard part is to act on it. And when you do, it's going to come back tenfold, 100-fold. Asking that question, answering, more importantly, acting on it. That's going to build confidence. Confidence in your leadership, confidence in the team. And what is that going to, that's going to lead to just this incredible rapport, this incredible culture and energy that's going to create passion and happiness and fulfillment.
This is why I think it's such an interesting perspective to think about the game of improv and business.
Right.
Because if you're, I love the fact you use the word game as well. If you're doing an improv game or a sketch, I mean, just games just says play all the time, right? But
right. Yeah.
If you're doing an improv sketch and you're not thinking about the guys who are with you on stage and setting them up and giving them opportunity to kind of bring this on, it doesn't work. It falls flat, it stops, and the audience feels awkward and doesn't enjoy themselves. And in business, if we get into this overly competitive, fiefdom dominated, siloed piece of working, it's the same. The organization doesn't win on the back of it. So I love the parallels here. But I have to ask us both a question, because we're really passionate about this stuff. You can tell we enjoy it. But there will be other people, and you may have even come across them in all of your work, who say this is all wonderful, but you're trivializing it because work is hard and difficult. And this whole subject of fun is trivializing what we've got to do. What do you say when you get that kind of challenge?
I start to cry. Tears come down my chin. I'm like, the sadness in that person's question, and that sadness in that person's being. They need a hug, more, or a cupcake, or something. I don't know. A cup of tea. Did I say that right?
A cup of tea will work. I mean, you're really killing it today with this.
Thank you.
The Anglo stuff. It's great.
Yeah. Put on a brew. That was in last night's episode.
Listen, mate, you're absolutely bossing the English references. My audience will love it.
I think I'm doing good. I think I'm doing good. What was the question?
When you get these people saying you're trivializing stuff with this fun message.
Myth. Yeah. It's a myth. I talk about this in the book. It's a myth. And there's several myths that are associated with fun. Myth, we don't have time for fun. How can you love what you do if you don't have fun? And it's not about clowns and jugglers, and improv games. Fun is many different things, right? Fun means something different to me than it means to you. What you have to find what your fun is. You remember the kid in school that loved solving a math problem? They did an algebra or geometry problem and they solved it and they were just so excited. That was not me. I can't do math. I hate math. There's nothing in my brain that's been shut down, closed off, locked off for a long time. But there are people that love to solve a math problem. That's their fun. Or maybe an accountant that all the numbers add up on the, right? So what is your fun? So of course there's time to have fun. Fun means different things to everyone. Making a big sale might be fun. Going to a conference and learning from other people in your industry. That's fun. So that's a myth that you don't have time for fun. Or a myth that we're not a fun business. Again, that's sad. Of course. What think about what you do. I always ask that question and the company, that says, let's take, for instance, let's give property management,
Yep.
right? We um, manage apartments. That's not fun.
Mhm.
Well, if you think about it that way, what are you really doing? You are giving people a place to live. You're helping people create a home,
Mm.
and that home has memories of birthdays and anniversaries and first apartments out of college. Now that starts to sound pretty fun to me. If you think about what you're truly doing, what are you truly doing? We got to sometimes get to the what you really are doing. You're bringing joy. That's pretty exciting when
I,
you think
I,
about that.
I absolutely think this is where the practical, real definition of things like purpose and meaning really show up at work. Because that's what you just described to me.
Right.
It's not that I just sell apartments. It's, well, what's behind that? You're giving people opportunity to set up a home and build a life and create memories, and that's a purpose to what you do.
Right. You can do any industry if what you truly, truly do. I have let's talk. I have a lot of hospitality clients,
Hmm.
hotels.
Hmm.
Think about what kind of joy that you truly, if you are in maintenance or, accounting or HR or marketing, you're still part of bringing, that's somebody's vacation. How much joy that you're part of, that you're creating. If you're not there, then that joy isn't created, right? You're part of that
Of
process.
course you are. Yeah, of course you are.
And so I think you have to really look at what you truly, truly do. And the myth that you're not a fun company, I guarantee every company you should be, if you really think about what you truly do, is going to be fun. Or the myth that there's not time for fun. Time, of course, there's time. You've got to take a moment to re energize, to refuel. Even if you just take a walk around the office, that's fun.
Mm.
You're not doing you're not staring at your computer, but what you're doing is refueling and re-energizing. So of course there's time to have fun, because if you don't, you're just going to burn out. You're not going to be at your best. So there's all these myths about fun, and you have to figure out what fun is to you. What's going to really fulfill and reward you? What is that? Ask yourself, what's going to truly make you happy?
Mm.
Not more money. That happiness is only going to last to the next paycheck, and you're right back where you started. What is that happiness? What does that fulfillment look like? Do you want a different role? Do you want a different responsibility? Do you want the opportunity to go to a conference? Do you want more training? Do you want a mentor? What is that opportunity? And that's going to be your true fun, your guiding light. And then the second surprise is when you tell your manager, this is what I need here to be happy. This is what I need here to have fun, to be fulfilled. You're going to be surprised how easy it is for that manager to give that opportunity to you. And because what do they get back in return? A passionate, energized team member that's going to help them reach their goals. Now, if that manager does not give you that opportunity, that's a big clue. You're in the wrong place. And I don't care. I've been doing this a long time, gone through many recessions, economic downturns, and the constant is always, there's always jobs, right? Someone is always hiring. Every time someone wants, every time there's a recession, economic downturn, all my clients are still saying to me, oh, we're still hiring. We're always looking for passionate, energized people. People are always looking for great team members. So don't be afraid to go look and find that opportunity, because that's what's going to fulfill you. That's what's going to reward you. And that's going to create that happiness and fun.
There's so many things I love about what you've sort of said in the last 40 odd minutes, but certainly in the last few minutes, because I think coming back to what you said about, I think you've redefined fun for a lot of listeners. Even the piece about recognizing the different diverse skills and perspectives that people bring to an organization and allowing them to bring those forward, that can be fun, right? Being able to kind of show your skills off, being able to show your expertise off, being able to play more in that field, that can be fun. And then I think if anything has been communicated by you today, there's a massive difference between having fun and slacking off. And this is where
Right.
I think organizations need to pull their head out of the backside a bit and just be thinking about stop Stop taking it down to the lowest common denominator. Fun doesn't mean people slacking off and not working and not getting stuff done. I know I am at my most creative, productive, and energized when I am having fun. If you want good shit out of me, put me in an environment where I'm going to have fun and you'll get great stuff out. And I thank you for kind of like communicating those sort of messages today, because I hate myself asking what's it feel like when you're told you're trivializing this stuff, because I think that's the problem. I think too many people trivialize this stuff.
If you're not passionate about what you do, how are you having fun?
Yeah.
And it's about caring. If you care, you're going to have passion, right? You're not going to have passion unless you really care about something. And you're not going to care about something unless you're given responsibility and ownership. Why would I care if there's no ownership or responsibility? Why would I expect my team to care if I don't give them ownership and responsibility? And why would I expect them to have passion if they don't care? Just because they come walk through that door and I pay them a salary doesn't I there's no expectation of passion. I don't there's nothing in the agreement that you have to have passion. I'm expecting you to do your job. I would love for you to have passion because I think you're going to be at your best and the results are going to speak for themselves. But I've got to create the foundation for that passion. I want you to care. And how do I get you to care? I give you ownership and responsibility. And
Uh,
all that happens. And I think there's a weaving through all of that is a spirit, is a fun, and I think it's important to create that no matter what you do. Sometimes I play a game where I give a team, we have teams, let's say 5 to 8 people, and I give them a made up product. And then the team has to come up in a very short amount of time. They have to come up what that product is, what it does, what the features are. And then they have to do a presentation, like an advertising jingle, a role play, a commercial. And I give them a very short amount of time. So they have to be very focused and they have so much fun. They're laughing, they're creating, has nothing to do with work. And then we stop and we go, okay, now we're going to have some very big work topics. We come up with some 4 or 5 big work questions. I want you to work together with the same team. I want you to be creative, come up with ideas just like what you did for the previous game. And then the room gets really quiet and everybody's very serious because now we're focused. We're on work. Before that was just silliness and fun. And I have to stop everybody. I said, what made that first exercise so fun? And they talk about the energy and building off each other's ideas, and everybody was an equal and everybody had an equal value and equal voice. I said, just because we're looking at serious ideas I don't want you to leave all of that energy and fun behind. I want you to incorporate that because I think the result is going to be much more successful. And all of a sudden the aha moment happens, and then the room is loud and there's energy and people are sharing ideas, and they're much more successful because we introduced that and we gave permission for that fun.
I love that. And that is such a nice way, I think, of leading into the ridiculous question I now have to ask you, which is to summarize up all the things that you think give people agency over being happy at work. It's sticky notes time, Joel. So 3 pearls of wisdom that we could stick on 3 little sticky notes, my friend. What would they be?
I love this concept, and I thought about it. I probably overthought. Number 1, celebrate your ta-da moments. Celebrate ta-da moments. That's what I want to see on a sticky note. And I want to encourage people to celebrate these moments to create energy. Number 2 is create positive support. Say thank you. Or maybe the sticky note should just say thank you. We'll make it easy. It's not a big sticky note.
I mean, I can
right?
write small, goodness
Yeah.
me, but
Say thank you.
okay.
And so that will encourage people when they go home from work to think about all the people that deserve that positive support and appreciation. Tomorrow, give that gift, because it is a gift. Doesn't take any money, barely takes any time to say thank you and I appreciate you. And the third one is embrace change. I think that is a philosophy that will reduce our frustration and our negativity if we just embrace the change.
Fantastic.
Those are good sticky notes.
Those are
We're going to
great
trademark
sticky
those.
notes.
Those are going to be for sale.
They'll be very popular on the Instagram channel. Don't you worry about that, Joel. Joel, I have, goodness me, absolutely loved meeting you and getting to speak to you. I am incredibly grateful of your time. Before I let you go, my friend, where can people find out more about you? Where can they get hold of the book?
So my website is my name, joelzeff.com, JoelZeff.com. And so there's links to the book and my keynotes and videos. But for social media, LinkedIn is my preferred social media. So I would love for people to connect. Send me a note. But the book is available, Amazon UK. Make the right choice, lead with passion, elevate your team, and unleash the fun at work. Everything that we talked about today, Andy, in much greater detail. Each chapter has lots of ideas to create fun, to embrace change, to create opportunity and positive support, to be a great leader, a great communicator, great teammate. And it's engaging and fun. The book is about, I want people to have fun when they read the book and learn about all these great messages that improv has taught me.
I am 100% sure that is what's going to happen. Joel, you're a superstar. Thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate it, my friend.
It's my pleasure. Thank you, Andy. And if there's someone listening that can bring me to the UK to come speak, I'm ready, because that's going to be fun. I've spoken one time in the UK, at the University of Warwick.
Warwick. Yeah, that's
Warwick.
An interesting English word to spell and
Warwick.
say. But Warwick.
I visited Warwick Castle.
Well, let's hope we get you back, my friend. Let's hope we get you back. Joel, you take care, my friend. See you soon.
Thank you, Andy.
Okay, everyone. That was Joel Zeff. And if you'd like to find out a bit more about him or any of the things that we've talked about today, please check out the show notes. So, that concludes today's episode. I hope you've enjoyed it, found it interesting, and heard something maybe that will help you become a stickier, more successful business from the inside going forwards. If you have, please like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps. I'm Andy Gorham, and you've been listening to the Sticky from the Inside podcast. Until next time, thanks for listening.